up, guys? Just here up, doing some work. Just been on a really crazy and backward sleep schedule. Um, I was just, I don't know. It just things just come to me. You know how we just sit around or actually it was working, and then next thing I know, things just come to you. So as I was sitting down, and I was working on some business contracts. It just came to me that that we have to learn to set ourselves free. Um, some of us have had very tumultuous relationships and a tumultuous life. Period. It's like you can apply yourself and do all that you can do, all that you know to do, and still it's like everything that could possibly go wrong goes wrong, and it's not something that you neglected to do. It's not due to your negligence. It's not due to you not knowing what to do or how to do it, but it's just like you sitting down in your living room and it's not storming outside or anything. There's no reason for a tree to just fall through your roof, but it does. And that's how it is with some people's lives. It's like no matter how much they try and how much they apply themselves, it just seems like they can't win from losing. And it becomes extremely psychologically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally exhausting, especially when you have had dysfunctional family relationships with loved ones, and you've had dysfunctional relationships, and you just had a dysfunctional life altogether. And when I say dysfunctional, I'm not talking about what a person possesses materialistically. There's a lot of people that possess materialistic wealth and monetary riches and success, but they grew up in chaos. They grew up in deceit, in lies, in manipulation. Grew up in, some very bad um, energies, but and it has become them, but they don't see it as a problem because they feel like, well, if it was so bad, then why would I be able to succeed and be able to accomplish this and accomplish that? I just put it to you this way: look at the way of the world. You have some of the most evilest and vilest and inappropriate people. They have made remarkable moves. They have accomplished a lot of a lot of things. They have a lot of success. They have made some very major moves. They've come up with cures and with solutions and with formulas and um, great businesses, and yet they are very dysfunctional. And I think a lot of times people feel like if they're making progress and they're positive progress, that is, and they are successful or heading towards success, becoming successful, um, that they're good and that everything is fine. But we already see, even with especially in the music industry, particularly hip hop and rap, let's just be realistic about it. They seem to cater to an award and gravitate to those who are not the best role models or have the best, or rather, should I say, doesn't display the best characteristics about themselves. And they get all this money and they get, the fame, they get the shine, they get all of these things. So sometimes you kind of wonder, like, dang, do I have to be that way, be a become a vile and malicious person, become heartless, become defiled, defile myself to have any kind of success, because some people, they don't do any of those things and they're successful. Then you have people who do those things, and it seems like those are the ones that are the most successful, that has the most money, that are like not just rich, but they're wealthy. So it kind of makes you wonder, right? But I'm going to say this because this is something I actually had to go through. It's a process I had to go through. I had to set myself free. We depend on those who have hurt us to set us free. Those who have used us, those who have abused us. We expect for these people to set us free. We expect for the economy, the leaders, state government, local government, national government leaders to set us free, right? No, you have to set yourself free. And the way you set yourself free is you confront whatever it is that is bothering you, whatever it is that is hurting you, um, even if it's a person. And now it all depends on the time frame. Now, if it's like, and if you have already expressed yourself to an individual, and the individual still has not done anything to rectify, or has not made an honest effort to alleviate you of the hurt and pain that they have caused you, you have to just let them go. You know, you have to let it go, because if you don't, it's going to eat you up. And you're going to have dysfunction. You're going to end up finding yourself having more dysfunctional and hurtful relationships. And and that's even with family and friends, you know, not just in intimate relationships, because to be honest with you, me have been betrayed and hurt first and foremost, and the worst, by own family. Okay, so that's, we have to be realistic about that. And sometimes that kind of sets a pattern unintentionally with us, where when we find ourselves really loving and caring for someone, it seems like those individuals will turn against you or find a way to hurt you. And you're trying to figure it out, because you're like, I'm not sending out this kind of vibe, this kind of energy. So, not intentionally and not even subconsciously. So, you're trying to figure it out. And sometimes we're not going to get concrete answers. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, because we want answers. We want to know the whys, and we want to know the how comes, and the why means. And I know there are some people be like, why not me? Why not me? I mean, to hear his or her own, they don't, I used to say that, but I stopped saying that, because to me, when we say why not me, it's like I'm opening up that door for other things of that nature to happen to me. So I'm not going to say why not me, because I don't want to continue to hurt. I don't want to continue to go through pain. I don't want to continue having dysfunctional relationships, and being abused or being used and stuff. So I'm not going to say why me, why not me. Um, I know I don't have on. I have my do rag on, honey. I got my little pigtails in my hair, but it's all natural. I can fluff it out now. Fluff, fluff, put up my afro. But yeah, so I don't say that, because we have to really be careful what we say. Even, you know, we have this tendency to repeat things because it's catchy, or because we get caught up in the moment. But one thing we have learned is to really just sit back and analyze things. Just like these chain messages and text messages. I tell my friends, do not send me no chain messages and text messages. I'm not sending you back anything because if they stop tagging me and putting my number in all of these folks' numbers, I don't know these people. Stop tagging me in all the messages, group messaging. I don't know these people, and I just don't want to be in a position where I have to deal with unnecessary calls or get bothered by someone that I probably don't even know. Um, just don't do it. But yeah, so sometimes it sounds good. It rings a good bell, whatever, ding, ding, ding. But then when you really sit back and you have time to analyze and really think about it, you be like, oh, no, no, right? So you just kind of like, oh, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do. But don't get caught up in all of that stuff, okay? Learn to think for yourself. That's why you have your own brain in your head, all right? You're not sharing a brain with two, three, four, five other people unless you're Siamese twins that conjoined and you guys they have the one brain. Other than that, you have your own brain, so use it. Um, I will say that when I just sit back and I look over my life, like I'm sitting here and when I'm doing my contracts, and I just think about a lot of things that me could have accomplished had me had the support, had me had the help. Um, then I thought about things, a lot of things that I did not accomplish because of me. Um, Too busy catering to everybody else, putting myself on the back burner, even emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and physically, you know, wanting to appease everybody else, making sure everybody else is comfortable. In other words, be a giver. I've always been such a giver and had such a servitude attitude and demeanor myself. Um, some people, a lot of people that I encounter that I may have became friends with or became in a relationship with, they took it as a weakness and took it for granted. So to them, I just was an easy prey. And I didn't realize I was at the time. I really didn't. Like, oh, just like, no, just, I'm just a nice person. Or people are just how they are and all that stuff. Making excuses for them. But that doesn't help when you make excuses for people who um, have, who clearly chooses to do you wrong and um, treat you wrong. It's not healthy to do that. It's not healthy for you. It's not beneficial for you or them, especially when it's a repetitive thing and there's not a change with the apologies because people apologize all the time. They apologize, but it's never backed up with changed behaviors. Because one thing about it, when you're really apologetic to someone, you're going to do everything possible if that person, if you care genuinely and truthfully, honestly, sincerely care about the individual, okay, and having a healthy and established relationship with them, whether it's a friendship, a family relationship, or intimate relationship, whatever the nature of the relationship is, if you really sincerely want to um, have a established and a solid and clean and great and awesome relationship with that individual, regardless of your pride and regardless of your ego, you're going to swallow it and you're going to be like, okay, and let's just be realistic. These days, it's really hard to find genuineness. You have people who have learned to tolerate things, so they get in relationships or friendships and even on jobs for the sake of convenience, and they enjoy the perks and benefits of it, but in the depths of their heart, they're really not dedicated and fully committed. And the way you know this is because when there's an argument between you two, they start being truthful about their feelings, even in the heat of the moment, anger. Sometimes it's like they say, a drunk body speaks a sober mind. Well, so can an angry spirit speak a truthful mind. What they always, excuse me, thought of you wanted to say to you anyway, or what they think or feel about themselves, and or maybe somebody else who has hurt them. You become their emotional punching bag, so they're going to vent out on you at that moment because now you don't piss them off. Or they're angry about something and you are going to be that emotional punching bag for them. So, but when someone really genuinely is apologetic, um, they're really and they really care about having a or want to have a great and established and healthy relationship with you, they're going to do whatever it takes to earn that back when they had it before and they may have said or did something to cause the breach in it. They're going to do whatever is necessary, regardless of what people think or feel about them. Because as long as you live, people are going to disagree with things that you do. People you know, as well as people you don't know. And you just have to learn to choose your battles and make your own decisions. Like, are you going to allow them to dictate to you what you need to do? Are you going to allow your pride or your ego to dictate to you what you're supposed to do or need to do? Or you're going to just say, I need to go ahead and do this because I know a lot of times people don't believe. A lot of people really don't believe in karma. Because people do say it so loosely, like they say love, like, and all this stuff. They say things loosely. But karma the universe has a way of punishing people for the things that they have done wrong. And from my own experience of having karma, um, not as far as just being intentionally malicious, but even with the unintentional acts of things against someone or what have you, sometimes you can catch karma. Now, if you intentionally do it and you be cold hearted with it, karma has a way of coming back on you in ways that you wouldn't even think or imagine. You know, I watch the news sometimes, not too much because it's just pressing as hell because they always just showing a bunch of killing and stuff when there's so much other stuff going on that's not happening. I'm not saying that people shouldn't know about the killings and robberies and all that. Yeah, we need to know about the crime, but they spend more time and effort highlighting negativity. And they really very rarely address any of the positive things that's going on in society or positive people there and people who are doing positive things in society. So that is exciting. It's not boring. They tell them, it'll be exciting. But When I hear the news and I hear about, and I hate to say this because I don't want anybody to think I'm being insensitive or cold hearted because I'm really not. Ooh, how certain people may lose their children or they may lose close loved ones or family. And they probably be like, why is this happening? Why? Sometimes our karma comes in a way that will punish us for the rest of our lives until we die, right? Because as long as you're alive, you're going to continue to feel that void and that pain from the death of this loved one. So knowing that, it's like, do you, like, how do you even cope with that? You know what I'm saying? So karma has a way of coming back in disguise where some people don't even realize that's what it is. They just thinking it's just something that happened. Um, it could even be a person being in an accident and they have to get a limb amputated or they have to be permanent wheelchair bound or they have, some kind of situation or circumstances that causes them or someone who they love, I mean, truthfully love, some type of problem or issue. And that's the thing with karma that scares me. It makes me really nervous. That's why for me, I would not intentionally just dog somebody out of doing wrong because I never want to catch myself. We go through enough as it is. Why create karma, negative karma? If I want to create karma, I want to create positive karma. I want to put out and sow positive, fruitful seeds, not bad, corrupt, and bad seeds because it spits, it's not going to grow. And we can grow on it and choke it out, And I don't want to be, I want my life or myself to look to be considered weed to karma or dead or useless to karma because of my actions or the lack thereof. And I know it's always easy to swallow. I mean, always easy to hold on to our pride because our pride is really all that we have. But sometimes it can cause us more sufferings. And the thing about it is, because I think a lot of people feel like it'll never happen to them. It's just like how, I've heard a lot of people say who have found themselves a victim of horrific crimes, say that they never thought in a million years that it happened to them. Especially people who doesn't live in an area that is known for crime or that doesn't have hardly any crime at all. And then all of a sudden they're subjected to being a victim of crime and they're not understanding why. But karma comes like that. Like it comes in ways that we don't imagine. And sometimes we be like, what could I have possibly done? And sometimes it's not even anything that you particularly that did anything. It could be something from your parents, something that your children did. Um, or it could be where maybe you participated in something that was horrendous or that was really, vile or malicious. And and sometimes we have to really look at ourselves before we try to figure out why certain things happen. We have to take a look at ourselves, a deep rooted look at ourselves. And and that's how you save yourself as well. That's one of the ways you save yourself. One of the ways you save yourself is most definitely by facing yourself. Um, if there's anything you know that you have done wrong, do what you got to do to make it right, so that that bad karma will come back on you years later. Because what happens is when karma come back on people years later, it can be where they have very bad health issues, or they can have struggles, so they can find themselves fighting within themselves. They can find themselves in bad relationships, bad marriages, you know. So we really have to think about what we did. And I know a lot of times I may have heard this pretty much. This, let me tell you, I know people who are just full of ish. They're bad, they're vile, and they got, some of them, unfortunately, they lost their lives. Well, they didn't have a chance and opportunity to better themselves as a person. And at the funeral, you have people standing up, especially the parents, the mother particularly. Oh, my child was a good child. Oh, she was like this, or he was like that, or they did it, and the child is bad as hell. Caused them a lot of hell, caused them a lot of grief. But they're out there doing all kind of illegal activities, game banging, violence, living a reckless and destructive lifestyle, engaging in, you know, questionable behaviors and lifestyles. But the parent or a friend or somebody would get up during a eulogy and would sit up here and speak all these good things about this person. And they like to say, that's not the person, what they did and who that's and what they were doing, that's not who that person is. They are sweet. They're kind, a sweet and kind person will go out here killing people, raping people, hurting people, being mean to people, cheating on people, lying to people, putting their family through all this hurt and grief. That's not a good person. So I know that when people die, the last thing people want to do is say anything negative about them, because people are like, oh, don't speak negative about the dead. Hell, they dead. Whatever. Say the truth. Because you should have been saying, if you would have told them the truth, they wouldn't have died a premature death. And a lot of people are dying very prematurely because of their ignorant pride, in their foolish pride, in their foolish egos, and they don't want to acknowledge their wrongdoings. And then again, like I stated, just to reiterate, it could be something that their parents may have did or neglected to do, that they know that they should have done. So we have to be really careful with how we carry ourselves and the things that we do, our choices, our mindset, what we think. Also, we don't want to bring things into fruition by the way we're thinking. We don't want to think like destructively and negatively, and you don't want to feed yourself those things. Now, granted, people watch horror movies and violent movies all day, all night, but you know what happens is a lot of them become desensitized to it. So when they see it, they would not call the cops and sit in and report it, or they won't try to help the person because they're so desensitized to it. Um, and it's really sad when people become desensitized to violence, because that means that you're going to just you're going to be comfortable, and that you're comfortable with violence. And that's pretty much what has happened. A lot of people are comfortable with violence, and a lot of people are lazy as well. They want change, but they're not willing to do the work to make the change. But that's the only way you're going to set yourself free. It's up to you. You have complete 100% control over your life, over your choices and decisions, your thoughts. You have control over that. You cannot control what somebody else thinks and does, but you can control what you think and what you do. And so until you're ready to really truthfully set yourself free, you're going to find yourself going through that cycle over and over and over again. And you have to ask yourself, when does this, when I'm going to stop being like a dog chasing its own tail, just going in a circle. I'm not progressing. It's not working. I'm not having any positive outcome with this. Okay. Um, and again, just because a person's lifestyle is successful and they're rich or they're, monetarily comfortable or economically, okay, well, does not mean that inside of them, their inner being is okay. That's why you have people who commit suicide. The young lady who was a really well-known TikTok model, they hire that, something like that. A beautiful 18-year-old young lady rather, very beautiful, but she committed suicide. Why? Because she just felt empty inside. She was not dealing with herself. And see, she's so young too. She's only 18. And even at the age of 18, she just felt like she was not enough. She didn't know how to set herself free. Somebody probably never talked to her and taught her how to set herself free. You know, we feel, and I'm going to say this for his parents, just because, excuse me, our children may be popular or they may seem to be okay, doesn't mean that they are. We have to sit down and talk with our children. I don't care if they're 18, 19, 20 years old. You supposed to talk to them even before then. When I became pregnant with my son, I kid you not, I used to have whole conversations with him while he was in my stomach. Okay. And a lot of people have always told me, even, once I had my son and, he became old enough to talk and stuff, they were just like, wow, he's only 5 years old and he having a conversation. He talking like he's 12 or 13 years old. I've always gotten that with with that kind of compliment about my child because I never wanted to be one of those parents who was afraid to talk with my child. You have to tell them the truth. And you just have to let them know even your mistakes, your flaws, your fears, your imperfections. Um, be honest with them about it. Talk to your children and let them know so that they can understand that is a normal part of life and it's okay. You know, you have to let them know, look, there's going to be people who's going to befriend you. They're going to seem like they're your friends and they're not really your friends. You're going to have people who's going to be jealous of you, who's going to hate on you. You're going to have people who's going to stab you in the back, try to set you up. It's people and it won't even just be a random stranger. It'll be people who you've been cool with for years. All of a sudden, they just turn on you because they either get jealous of you, you know, or become intimidated, threatened by who you are as a person. And sometimes people who are easy, who gets become threatened by others, they see a quality in you that a lot of times you don't even see about yourself. And because they see that, they want to kill you, just like Lala Brown and her boyfriend Kool-Aid. Remember, they were murdered like several years ago in their studio where they was living, and I'm quite sure it was somebody who was always in their circle and who was really threatened by them and jealous of their success because sometimes you have frenemies who want to come up like you, but people are not gravitated to them like they're gravitated to you. And they would get upset and take it out on you instead of building their craft up, build or working on themselves so that they can start having that kind of popularity or favor or people start like them. Why get upset? So I guess they figure, well, if I kill them, it's going to make people like me more. All eyes will be on me now. No, it doesn't work that way. It only makes you look very desperate. Make a person look really desperate. It makes them look very like they have the lowest self-esteem in the world. It makes them look incompetent. It makes them look insignificant. They make themselves look like that when they conduct themselves or their nature. So I will always talk to my son. So when I'm like finding out about this 18-year-old young lady, as gorgeous as she is, I mean, she is so beautiful. I'm just like, girl, I wish you know me, wish I could have talked with her. Her dad said that he didn't know that she felt like that he wished she would have talked with him. But children do give us signs. A lot of time we as parents, we ignore the most obvious signs. And we have to look past their happy-go-lucky attitudes, if they're like that on a regular basis, if they're very charismatic, if they're, pretty charming and happy and upbeat. We have to, in that, we also have to look deeper at not just them being all happy and stuff, but how they kind of settle down. Like, okay, I'll use myself as an example, how I used to. This is what I used to do. I would act like everything was okay. I would be smiling and laughing, clowning, cutting jokes, just being my bold, go luckier, happy, outgoing self, right? But the way I calm down says a lot. But because people was not able to identify that and see that, people who was even around me on a regular basis, they did they were not able to identify that. And they could not tell that I was really crying out for help and I was dying inside. And so I understand that you can be so happy outwardly and be so miserable inwardly. And that's because at that time, when I was like that, I didn't know how to set myself free. I didn't know what that was. I knew religion. That's what me was taught and what me was raised on, but it never worked. Not for me. It didn't work for me. Some people, I see it work for, but to each his or her own, it never worked for me. It actually made things a lot worse. It made things way worse for me. I was a wreck. I mean, like depression, oppression, vexation, anxiety out of this world. It made me physically ill. So I cannot do religion at all. It doesn't work for me. And I hate when people be like, "Oh, come to my church." No, I'm not going to nobody's church. No, no, and no. I don't care what you say. I'm not going to nobody's church. It doesn't work for me. I'm glad it's working for you, or you feel that it's working for you. But I know me. I know myself, and that's the thing. When you know yourself well enough, you know what will work for you and what won't work for you, and that doesn't work for me. I had to learn to become truthfully spiritual. People keep thinking religion and spirituality is the same. It's nothing alike. It is totally different, completely different. They use that loosely in religion so that they can get people to come. Now, I don't knock people who do religion, has religion. That's what you want to do. You feel it works for you, more power to you. But I see a lot of I see a lot of problems with when people who are religious. I just put it to you that way. They have way more psychological problems than those who are not. They're more narcissistic. They're most, sociopathic. I mean, I'm serious. They're more violent, more quick tempered. And this is what I've seen and witnessed. Okay, I'm almost 48. I'll be 48 years old this year. I was raised in church. Okay, so I've seen not just with one denomination or one particular religion. No, there's been several different religions that I was exposed to, like actually in it. Not standing out afar and listening to someone tell me what it is about and what it does. No, I'm actually physically seeing it and hearing it. And I will just put it to you this way: I never. It's still. It's actually have gotten worse. It's a lot worse now. It really is. But I just talked with him, and I really wish I was able to reach out to this young lady before she killed herself. I wish knew of her and about her, because I just got on. I don't even hardly use TikTok. I installed the app maybe 2 weeks ago. I barely use it. So I didn't know that she was this hot TikTok model, because I'm like, damn, we got Instagram models, then we got TikTok models. Like, shoot, I can't keep up, whatever. But someone like that who was crying out for help, she was crying out for help. And I just think a lot of times parents, we can neglect to pay attention, because a lot of times we like to say as parents, oh, it's just a phase, or our child just going through a phase right now. He's this or she's that, or and it don't be a phase. They be crying out for help. Pay attention to it. Don't just push it off and be like, oh, it's just a phase. It's not just a phase. Your child is hurting, it's bleeding inside, like, and on the verge of suicide, you know? And so it was just, it was really heartbreaking. Um, but we have to, as we have to learn to set ourselves free. I'm going to start back doing my weekend segments on addiction to hurt, pain, and trauma caused by emotional, verbal, psychological, mental, and physical abuse. Because a lot of people are so desensitized to abuse, it has become normalized as well. It's normalized. It's normalized. In music. It's normalized in TV. It's normalized on jobs and families. Abuse have become normalized, and it's and the abusers love to say, "Oh, you're just weak. Oh, you taking things too serious. Oh, you making more out of something than what it needs to be. You being too, you being too out of pocket. You just, you need to loosen up." People who say that when someone is expressing that they're hurting and they're being abused are people who are desensitized to abuse and numb to it. So trying to talk to them is like trying to talk to a tree. The tree has more sense than them, because the tree knows to grow its leaves during certain weather, certain temperatures. It knows to shed its leaves during certain weather and certain temperatures. But us as humans, we don't know when to shed our leaves. We don't know when we need to tighten up our rings. We don't know when we need to do certain things, even though it's in us to do it. But it's always more comfortable and more convenient to ignore and to just go with the flow, as they say. Oh, just go with the flow of things. Everybody wants to just go with the flow of things. And as we see, that is not the answer. Going with the flow of things has increased violence, caused violence to increase, especially gun violence and killing. It has increased more disrespect with people. People are more inconsiderate now. So going with the flow and just not dealing with things and ignoring problems has only made things worse. So ignoring it was never the answer. Um, and so setting yourself free, it's not an easy process, because you have to face all of the things that you do not like about yourself. all of your imperfections, which we all have. So listen, when you set yourself free and you see these imperfections about yourself and these not so favorable characteristics about yourself, guess what? It's a part of your makeup and and what makes you who you are. Do not deny it, for one, and two, do not reject it. You know why? Because they're there as a defense mechanism for you. Meaning, if you're an aggressive person and you have, as people call, you have a sassy mouth or you're smart at it, don't you know that is a good weapon for a defense attorney, for a judge, for a debater, for a leader? Those are great characteristics to have, even though they look negative to you and to society. They all have their good mean, good, has a good. Now, when I say that, I'm not talking about perversion. I'm not talking about people who has the mindset to want to molest children and kill elderly people and rape them. And I'm not talking about those type of bad character flaws, because to be honest, those are not character flaws. Those are just choices that people choose to be. Got to be. It's a big difference in that. It's a big difference in there, because we can control what bad we want to do. We all there's all of us have a sense of naughtiness in us where we just want to be bad as hell and do all kind of bad crap. We all have that in us, but we also have an option to have self-control and self-discipline. We also have the ability and the option inside of us to choose if we're going to allow certain character flaws about ourselves to dominate us and cause us to make bad and wrong decisions on a regular basis. We're going to always make bad choices and decisions as long as we live, okay? Because certain situations can come up that we may have never faced before, and we may not know what to do about it. So we might make a mistake, or going on start a new job, or even on your current job, maybe the policy has changed, maybe something has changed, and you may have forgotten about it because you become accustomed to doing things a certain way. So you may unintentionally make a mistake. That's fine. It's a character flaw if we make mistakes. But we have a thing that's called choices and decisions that we also have complete control of, that we can make to do good or to do bad, to allow our negative character flaws to dominate our good characteristics. Do we want to be good or do we want to be bad? I know being bad seems so cool and then exciting and sexy, but you can be good and it can be sexy, cool, and exciting too. You know why it doesn't look cool, good, and exciting? Because people glorify negativity too much. So, because negativity has been glorified so much, when someone is doing something positive, oh, it's boring. I don't want to see that. It's not exciting. When it is, it's very exciting. It's actually more exciting than seeing somebody, bang banging and doing stupid, crazy, violent stuff. Okay, let me give you guys an example. Something positive. Say a community block party. Instead of people bringing guns and stuff, why people can't just bring their cars? Why they can't bring their talents? Bring their souped up vehicles and stuff. They playing the music. Let the people dance in the street, show off their gifts and talent. Is that boring? Hell no, that's not boring. It's exciting. Have them do rap battles and stuff. Is that boring? Hell no, that's not boring. It's exciting. What makes it, but what happens is people with their egos, they're jealous because somebody get more attention. They get more applause than them. People getting, more Ooh, especially during rap battles. Ooh, you gonna take that? They get in their feelings. It's a rap battle. If you're gonna be sensitive and soft like that, don't get involved with them. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of good, positive things that can be exciting. But because people rather gravitate to the negativity, it makes something positive look boring and not exciting. When you can take these people in your community that has talent and make your community exciting. But people don't want to do that. They rather deal with the game bangers. They rather glorify them, lift them up, put them on pedestals. And then the people who are not doing that, and if you're not doing it, they want to get upset at you. They want to call you lame, want to call you weak, call you whack, call you all of these derogatory things. Don't pay that no attention, because one thing about it, I refuse to let a low life, and when I say low life, I don't care if you're rich. If your mindset is like that, is mediocrity, you are a low life to me. You're a bum. I know I'm looking like a bum right now. It's that scarf on and my rabbit on chewed on and everything. I know I'm looking really rough because this was really last minute. I didn't even expect to do this video. I really just spontaneously did it. And I was typing up my beats like, huh?